Ulonkata bati yada tó yẹ kó máa da ifá. Inú tó yẹ kó jẹun ló fi bí pa. Ọba tálá, ọba takuntakun. Ṣàngó, Èṣù, Ògún, Ọya, Ọ̀ṣun. Ìwọ ló ń bọ̀ nílé. Kí ni ṣẹ̀ṣe tán ṣe nílé yìí o? Ó jẹ́ lọ jára.
Alafia, peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Orisha, and today we're joined by none other than our distinguished community elder, the Oloye, the Oba, Baba Ifa Karade. Alafia, peace and blessings, Baba. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well, my brother. Very, very, very well. Okay. And this is, of course, it's always a joy to be here, to share with our spiritual community, our tribe, our nation. That I can't help but to feel great, man. I hope everybody out there's feeling great too. What about you, sir? How you feeling?
Listen, I woke up this morning and so I look at it like, as long as that happens, the rest I'll figure out. Some days are easier to figure out than others, but hey, either way it go, the mission still remains the same. Figure it out and get it done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's what we're here to do today, right?
Yes, sir. Get it done.
Right.
We're gonna make it do what it do, babe. We're gonna make it do what it do. Yes, sir. But yeah, man. So it's been a little while. We had a little, not too long, but a little while, a little longer than it normally is between live streams that that we've had in regards to the consistency of what we aspire to do. But both of us have a lot going on, outside of the channel and the community. But we're still making it a point to make sure that we pour into and add the value to the community and the channel, as a regular basis as possible, as well as building out the Institute. So shout out to you, Baba, first and foremost, because the Institute will be officially launching next Thursday, I believe, on the 6th of February, 2025. We also have two of our first members, I think, already signed up. As far as I know two for sure. Shout out to Nkosi is one of them, and then shout out to Oloye Fayinka. And then so we're ready to get this thing rolling, man. So I'm looking forward to the first day and really making it do what it do. On top of, I'm still working on building out the final few pieces for the study group as well, so we can kind of get people in that to get prepared for the Institute, for those who want to start kind of with the beginning phases and the I would say the junior college, the JUCO version of the culture and immersion into the spirituality and the science and the system that is African spirituality and the experience, along with Ifa and Isheshe. So shout out to that. Shout out to what's the name of it? Dang it, having a brain fart. What's the name of that? The cultural icon? I think it's from Ghana. Sankofa. Shout out to the study group 36720 Sankofa study group out of Jacksonville, and Brother Umar. Shout out to Professor Small. That event is coming up in the very near future. That'll be here in a little less than 2 weeks, or just about 2 weeks. So we got the tickets available online, family. You can grab it in the link in the bio on the channel, as well as on the website, spiritualityexperience.com. Looking forward to that one. Professor Small is coming to bring the heat as usual. And with that, man, shout out to the new members and new subscribers, and we're ready to get it cracking, Baba.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Well, I know we wanted to share with our community here some of the basic groundwork, basic groundworks of the upcoming institute and of the OGC Institute.
Yes, sir.
I know you had some very powerful statements to make, and now's the time to make it, because we're looking at next week, trying to get people interested, trying to get people involved, and letting them know exactly what we're doing here. So what do you have for us, brother? What do you have?
Well, we got some powerful developments, man. The Institute is pretty much on its way. Like I said, it's pretty much done on our end for the most part. We just got to ramp up promoting it more and marketing it more to get more people to sign up and join. But we do have a lot that we will be sharing. Excuse me. And some of the key topics and key points we'll be hitting with the Institute will be covering the miseducation to liberation aspects of spirituality and Ifa Sheshe, and then also like how and why, we have been subjected to negative imagery, distortions, misconceptions, of African spirituality, especially in the Ifa Sheshe tradition, as well as, the Kemetic culture, where they try to paint them to be European and all kind of other things. And then voodoo, they paint them out to be people who are zombies and raising people from, all kind of crazy stuff. So we want to really take a deep dive into like clearing up and removing, a lot of those misconceptions about our spiritual practices and systems, especially specifically, the cultural engineering, or I should say the the kind of like the bioengineering, how they making the food in the doggone laboratory. Like that's how I feel like some of these attack campaigns or these assassination of character or characteristic campaigns are being created in regards to kind of making our culture look like it's something that's demonic or less than or whatever the case may be. But we're going to take a deep dive into that, and then how we can kind of counteract some of that negativity, as well as going deep into the fundamentals of Ifa, the fundamentals of Orisha, the fundamentals of communicating with, dealing with, offering to, appeasing, the ancestors, Ori, Ifa, Orisha. So we got a lot lined up, for the tribe, man. I'm excited. And then shout out to everybody who received the Ojise Institute / Imoye Ascension papers. I sent that out to some of our tribe members, and the rest of the tribe should be getting that, I believe, either if not tonight, tomorrow for sure. And I'm also looking into doing another community call. I think I was going to try to do it tomorrow, but tomorrow's a little packed, so I'll probably end up doing it on Sunday. So I'll be sending a link out into the all the communities for the next community call this weekend as well, to kind of really take a deeper dive into the new study group, as well as the Ojise Institute. So that's what I got. Bye bye.
All right. Well, let's take that as step one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes, sir.
We're on a journey here.
Yes,
Iwakiri, our spiritual journey. We can't turn the body around if we don't turn the body around. Okay.
Facts.
So the reason that I put forth the whole miseducation kind of directive, and respecting in regards to moving from being miseducated to educated to liberated.
Right.
There's so much to that we are missing. And like you said, it's by design. It's bio psycho engineered. Okay. But what really brings it to a volcanic eruption is that we're often out of context with the practices that we involve ourselves in. We are somewhat, again, dancing around fires that are unlit. Okay. We want the warmth, we want the movement, we want the gathering, and we want everybody moving in the counterclockwise direction, in order to bring about exhilaration, in order to bring about celebration. But what we're missing is context. Okay. Why are we doing it? Okay. And what do we expect to get out of it more than the short term, more than the immediate gratification? Okay. Now, I won't, I'll try not to get, too, dissecting of it. We'll save that for the classes. But it's imperative that we of Onisheshe take deeper looks into the context of our creativity. Okay. And I'll draw this analogy just for the sense of, for the sake of brevity. February 1st is like tomorrow. All right. So I have a whole lot of people communicating that it's a time of celebration. We want to celebrate. We want to celebrate. We want to celebrate our history. And I'm like, okay, maybe if, I live long enough and put forth the effort to move that boulder of celebration into one of education and then ultimately liberation, that would be the end and the beginning of a lifelong endeavor. Okay. Now, I've been in the school systems for over 40 years. I've been an Ifa priest for 40 years. I've been around this sun for 72 years. I've been through the 60s, the marches, the Panthers, and all that. I got history. Okay. But out of all of it, and especially in this geopolitical tumultuous time, I'm kind of tired of celebrating. No, and it gets a little, strangling when I continually see, especially amongst the youth, that it's about celebration. How many times do you hear the word celebrate compared to the times you hear educate?
But with that, I'm gonna jump back into the what's good, brother Kansu. I'm gonna jump back in to getting into the institute and the study group, because that's something that we definitely been putting a lot of time and a lot of effort into getting together for the family and for the tribe. So we actually have the site pretty much done. I think it's about 90% done, to where we'll definitely be sharing that in the very near future for those to sign up. And then for everybody who's in the private communities as well, I definitely got a lot that I'll be sharing with y'all in regards to the study group, kind of as we kind of merge from the VIP section of the Ashe channel and community to the study groups version of the channel and the private communities, which will have a lot more in that, which I'm looking to do, like daily devotion exercises, trainings, guides, checklists, as well as the Ose days, as well as characteristics of the Orisha, and like what offerings to give, what ways to appease. There's a whole lot of different things that I've been kind of gathering feedback from tribe members or from channel subscribers who've been kind of sharing, their thoughts on what we can do to add more value to the channel and to add, just more of a positive impact and a positive, I should say, Ashe, about Ashe and about the OGC Institute, and as well as the new Ashe Ifa study group. So we've definitely been putting in the work, family. So I appreciate y'all for still rocking with us and, always being supportive. Bro Kansu, appreciate you. Shout out to Nkosi. Shout out to Ifa Segun, the Ashe Streets Enforcer. And shout out to, I've seen a couple more tribe members checking some of the trolls on the comments throughout the week, man. Appreciate y'all. I can't remember the names who it was, but I definitely appreciate y'all for holding it down and showing the love and support. And, that's what happens, man. New levels, new devils. The higher you go, the more, you're going to deal with the foolishness, and we're just getting started. We're still babies, in this channel. It's a small channel, considerably, considering to what some other ones are doing out there, but we're definitely going to continue to put in the work day by day, step by step, and make it do what it do. And then also, I look forward to some of the other projects that we have that we're working on behind the scenes as well. I'm looking forward to that. And so, yeah, I definitely give a shout out to everybody for holding us down and for showing the love and support. Ifa Segun, I appreciate you. Akbo Ato, definitely appreciate you as well, family. Excuse me. But and then also too, I'll be sharing a link for the Professor Small event. I'm going to actually have for the people who can't make it in person, I'm creating a new website funnel for me to sell the replay, like the live stream replay, because I'm not sure if we're going to have strong enough Wi-Fi to stream that event live. But either way it goes, I'll definitely be capturing the footage, and within 2 to 3 days, of me returning back from the event, I'll be able to upload the actual recording of it. So I'll definitely be sending a link out for you guys if y'all want to check the event out, or if you want to have access to it and you want to own it. I'll definitely be sharing the recording of the Africa throughout the ages with none other than Baba Professor James Small. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. And then, like I said, once again, shout out to St. Kofa 36720 for putting that event together. Brother Umar, shout out to you. Appreciate you, bro. Looking forward to making it do what it do when we get up there to Jayville. But yeah, family, we got a lot going on, man, in regards to just different new developments with the channel, and then just opportunities with the community. Shout out to Baba Yasir Ra Hotel, who I think he might be getting back from Jamaica from the first leg of his comedic yoga science. Comedic yoga training tours that he does for traveling. He's in Jamaica. I believe he goes to Ethiopia next, then Ghana, then Kemet, and then I want to say Jamaica again, and then I think Ghana again, then maybe Brazil, and then I think Kemet again. And so he has a dope tour that he's definitely doing his thing with, and has been doing his thing for like the last 30 plus years, you know, with the Kemetic yoga space and the tour. So I'm looking forward to, you know, joining him on a few of those, and also to learning the Kemetic yoga, you know, science and spiritual practice. I got a chance to check out a dope interview yesterday on shout out to brother Rich, Radiohead Rich for Black Magic 363. He had a dope interview with I can't remember her whole name, but she was a priestess of our set, a Kemetic priestess. And it was a powerful interview. She shared a lot of powerful information, a lot of powerful spiritual insight in regards to what's going on right now from a cosmic level. And I'm looking forward to sharing some of that too, because for a lot of people who are new to the Ashe channel, or even knowing anything about me, I actually started my spiritual journey with metaphysics and studying under, you know, the Professor Smalls, the Professor Kabbas, and a lot of the master teachers, the Issa Hilliers, the Ivan Van Sertimas, the Sheikh Anta Diop, the John G. Jacksons, the excuse me, the George G.M. James, the author of A Stolen Legacy. So the Kemetic space is something that I'm very familiar with, and I've been a researcher and studying that space real heavy and real deep. Matter of fact, I know Bro Consul, he's been deep into that space as well with the Kemetic space, but they really kind of tie together, man. Like there's really no difference between the Kemetic spiritual systems and sciences and the Ifa Isheshe spiritual systems and sciences. The only differences are the place of the continent from which they reside, and then the names of the deities, the names of the gods, the goddesses, etc. So whereas in the Ifa Isheshe, you know, spiritual system, we have Iwa Kwele, and then we have Orunmila being the master teacher, the master diviner. We have the Odu being the feminine essence, the feminine principle that brings the both of them together to where we can get a complete whole, you know, a whole look into everything that's going on through divination, where we get to visit the past, present, and future, whether you're dealing with a Baba Orisha who works with the Mary De Lagoon, or you're dealing with a Ifa priest or priestess, or Babalawo Yanifa who works with the Okwele and the Ikin. It's really very, very similar to some of the same exact frameworks and models from ancient Kemet, because I was talking to Baba Kerde earlier today before we got on the live. I was telling him about how, you know, just deep diving into the similarities between the two of them, and how Kemet and Ifa are very similar. And so even if you look at, for those who study ancient Kemet, if you look at Tahuti, right? Tahuti literally will be the Kemetic version of Orunmila. And then if you look at the principles of Ma'at, the 42 laws of Ma'at, okay, so Ma'at would be the equivalent of the Odu. So, you know, within Ifa, the Babalawo can't divine or can't get messages or decipher messages without dealing with the feminine aspects and principles of the Odu. Whereas the same thing with the Kemetic space is pretty much Tahuti is the master scientist, the master teacher, the master, you know, diviner, healer, mathematician, scribe, you name it. That's Tahuti. So Tahuti also would be looked at just like Orunmila. And so the same way Tahuti and Ma'at are married together with the masculine and feminine, you know, godly principles, is the same way that Ifa and Odu is pretty much married together with the same principles for the Ifa Isheshe tradition, the Kemetic, you know, Ifa connection. And so that's kind of something that me and Professor Kappa hit on the last live that me and him had not too long ago, like a week and a half ago. And we were going about the whole process of how the spiritual systems that we're using, that our ancestors have been using, the sciences, the spiritual systems, the healing, you name it, it's all based upon the same fundamental root value system. Like they all have the same, I think I got this from Professor Smalls, where he talks about the acronym of VIP. They all have the same values, interests, and principles. So it don't matter if we're talking about ancient Kemet, if we're talking about Nigeria, if we're talking about Ethiopia, if we're talking about the Congo, for all the Tatas out there, for the Palo folks, if we're talking about Voodoo over in Haiti, if we're talking about Candomblé in Brazil, I mean, it's really the same as that, values, interests, and principles. It's just some of the different names change, some of the different characters change based upon, you know, the Ma'afa and that barbaric Holocaust that we have as a people have fought through. But yeah, it's definitely a lot going on. And then another thing too that I want to kind of tap into, which I wasn't expecting to do it tonight, but I wasn't expecting the technology to do what it did either. But the significance of the number 9. Peace and blessings, Power Shell. That's a very, very, very significant not just number, but also a very, very significant energy that is at play right now. Because for those who are into the metaphysics space, we're gonna go deep tonight until Baba get back. And if you don't come back, I'll set up another one. Hopefully, if his schedule's available tomorrow or Sunday, as soon as we can get it locked back in. But in the meantime, because I wasn't, like I said, planning for this to happen with the technology, also those who study the metaphysics space and those who are familiar with Dr. Delbert Blair, right, in the Meta Center. So Dr. Blair is probably one of the most profound teachers that I've studied under, that speaks about metaphysics at the highest level, but also extraterrestrial activity, interterrestrial activity, and a whole lot more. So right now, what we're seeing is a lot of stuff about to start taking place, and a lot of stuff about to start happening, is already happening and taking place from that metaphysic extraterrestrial aspect. And that's something that, like I said, I've been sharing with y'all for a minute. I wanted to dive into it and go deeper into that space. So I'm gonna definitely be doing that. I've been working on my content calendar to get that stuff recorded and set up for y'all. And then just like that, we back like we never left. Bye-bye. What's going on with you, man? I see the technology doing the same thing again, man. Trying to hold us down, but it ain't gonna happen.
I'm not even going to talk bad about StreamYard, okay? But they seem to get me every time. No problem anywhere else. But that's all right. I'll work around it. Hopefully nothing else. So catch me up, brother. What's going down?
Well, because I just dove right in, man, and
Yeah,
look,
cool.
that goes back to my Toastmasters International training.
Yeah.
Look, we used to have this thing called table topics where you had to just speak off the cuff, like you had a topic, you had to go. So, anywho, I was just chopping it up with the tribe, man, giving a little bit more insight in regards to the study group and the OGC Institute. But then I was telling them about another podcast that I saw last night with a Kemetic priestess who was dropping some serious heat last night, man. She was dropping some real heat on another podcast that I watched. Shout out to Brother Rich, Black Magic 363, I believe is his channel name. But he be having some powerful guests on his platform as well. And he had a sister on there last night, a priestess, and she was just dropping heat, man. It was a dope interview. And so I was sharing with the tribe how I'm gonna definitely be sharing a lot more Kemetic content as well, like what we were talking about earlier. And I was telling them how I was talking to you about bringing together that the synchronicity, the alignment of how the Kemetic deities are pretty much the same entities per se when you're talking about the aspects of nature as the Orisha. You know what I mean? When we're talking about E5. So I was making a comparison about how when we talk about E5 and Odu being the feminine and the masculine, with the Babalawo and the Odu being the feminine representation of, E5 system. And then the same thing with Tahuti, who would be like the master teacher, the master scribe, the master healer, the master mathematician, etc. Just like Arumala is for E5, Tahuti plays that same role for the Kemetic, spiritual hierarchy system. So I was saying how with Ma'at, the 42 laws of Ma'at is the feminine principle that, is pretty much like the equivalent to Odu in E5. So I was kind of chopping up with them about that. And then I started talking a little metaphysics and some extraterrestrial stuff I was just about to talk about. And then you jump back in. So we're going to pick right back up where we left off, man. You want to go ahead and
you sure you don't want to finish up on the road that you're on, man?
I'm good, man. I mean, I ain't seen no comments or nothing come in. So if they want me to dive back in, I'll dive back in. But trust and believe, I got some dope playlists that I'm gonna be sharing very near future on those topics. So either way, it's gonna come regardless.
That's peace, man. And it does go right along with the context of today's podcast, man. And that context is context.
Yes,
okay, because see, again, we're so busy celebrating that we're not educating. And again, for what I've seen in the urban environs and definitely in the suburban, where we are of less percentage demographically speaking, Black history becomes a regurgitation of enslavement. Black history becomes a regurgitation of Christianity. Black history becomes a reinforcement of docility. Okay, because very rarely are we really putting forth the liberation movements, the fighters, the lives that were lost, the pushback, both on the continent and throughout the Caribbean and throughout North and Central and South Americas. That's not part of the Black history. You understand? It's like, okay, well, we're going to have all the kids line up and we're going to sing and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And I'm going to be, if it wasn't for me and a couple of folks like me, there wouldn't even be any talk of Carter G. Woodson, the founder of Black History Month, and his take on the educational system and why he quit. You know what I mean? Trying to negotiate with these folks and wind up starting his own independent school. But see, there's never a mention of the educational dimension, never a mention of the liberation. And unfortunately, we find that in Isheshe as well.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that, because I mentioned a bunch of the master teachers, as well. And I forgot Carter G. Wilson, but I definitely hit Sertima, Ben Sertima, Shikanta Diop, John Jackson. I went down, down the list, man, of a bunch of the masters, man, who the ancestors now, but their work is still just as bright and powerful and potent as it was the day it left their pen. You know what I mean? So, but I forgot about Carter G, but I also mentioned George G.M. James with Stolen Legacy. Like all these are people that we never hear about in the school system. But of course, why would we hear about them? Because the system is doing what it was created to do. So therefore, that's why we have to create our systems, our institutes, our educational platforms, so we can design ours to do what ours is supposed to do too.
Right. And that, beyond a revolutionary statement, that's an evolutionary statement, because we have to evolve. And if our involvement in Isheshe is not one of evolving us as individuals, as communes, communities, as a nation of people, then I dare to ask, what is what is the goal? What is the ultimate, purpose? Is it that same kind of, we just need to feel good and clap our hands and give praise to whomever, okay, and just enjoy the moment? Or are we struggling to increase the level of our capability? The capacity is already there. It's the capability that becomes smaller and smaller and smaller the more we have to survive, okay, subsist as opposed to exist. A lot of us unfortunately don't even know what it feels like to be free. And it's a lot, and this is not a put down, it's just an observation, because if we don't know what it feels like say for people who go to the continent for the first time, it's like, I never knew it would be like this, or flying a jet that's all, Black pilots, Black stewardess, I never knew it could feel like this. Okay. Or stop eating, red meats and pork and all. Oh, I never knew I could feel like this. You understand? So we are still celebratory, okay, but not exploratory. We're not exploring the dimensions that Orisha and Arumula bring to us, and say, okay, here are possibilities. Better yet, here are realities. And as you were stated, Baba Orisha Bami, about the unification of the Kemetan with the West African. See, we're still thinking that the Sahara was always a desert, and it wasn't. Okay, people traveled the continent back in the ancient days, like people traveled the continent in Europe back in the ancient days. How did the Greeks deal with the Romans? And then how did the Romans go all the way over into, what is the Great Britain? They traveled across the whole daggone European continent. But so did we, because they found the same type of wood in the Cometan palaces that only grows in the British Isles, Great Britain. There's just no mistake about it. You see, but we're locked into an ever shrinking box that basically says just celebrate your unknowing, just celebrate this little crumb, Meanwhile, the whole meal is set to spoil. Okay, and so we can have a whole lot of knowledge about things, but as we will work on in the courses, it's like, okay, so you accumulated knowledge. That's wonderful. That's beautiful. But it's only step one. It's only step one. Okay. Then internalizing the knowledge and then being able to be transformed by the knowledge. Now we're taking steps towards reliving the greatness of our people, reliving the greatness of Orisha, reliving a liberated being in life, as opposed to subservient, subhuman. We're just going to dance and sing ourselves, into oblivion. Okay, we're just going to celebrate without being educated, and we're just not going to struggle for liberation because we got it easy, because it's cool. Just don't make waves. Well, now's the time to make waves, because again, the geopolitical is forcing us to kind of wake the heck up and deal with the fact that anything could happen, and usually does. But are we ready? Now, I'll take a breather on it, then I'm gonna sit back. Okay.
Well, I tell you
Because
what.
Mhm.
Oh, go ahead. I'm going to cut you off. No, go ahead, Bob. Go ahead. I got
it's
plenty.
starting to come in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. That's good. So how does this equate to being an Ifa priest? How does this equate to being a priest or priestess? How does this equate to being an Ianifa? You see, all of this has to merge together. It has to. Okay. And there's no difference between how the Catholic priests came over and with the doctrine of discovery, we're going to make everybody Christian. And if you're not, we're going to kill you. Okay. Doesn't go against any of the imams of the past and present who are stating that via jihad or whatever, we'll give you a choice, which is why a lot of our people left Kemet even during the 700s. Okay. It's like, well, we choose not to become Muslims. Okay. And how, every other group can come in led by their priestly, in terms of energy, attitude, and having the divine grace of their God or Allah or whomever, Yahweh, whomever. Okay. Talk to any rabbi and say, well, no, your history, it doesn't matter. Like what? What kind of sense does that make? How are you going to have religion and spirituality without having an historical context? How are you going to do that? Oh, I see. You just want to celebrate. Okay. You just want that short term, that immediate quick high. And then you want to go back, to playing with your blocks and little dolls and whatnot. And then when you need some more, you go get some more. But you ain't really about it.
Baba, it's like talking about spiritual BBLs.
Yeah, I remember you brought that term up. I think they're gonna with that. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, we're gonna look good and we're gonna feel good, but we ain't gonna be about nothing. And over time, that stuff gonna be sagging and dropping and blowing up all over the daggone place. And we're gonna be looking, what's the word? Deformed. Okay. Because we're just going for the momentary. There has to be. It's not a question of should we or should we not. It's that we have to. So let's get busy. Let's make it happen. Okay? Let's make it happen. So, again, we can be lofty and we can dance and we can have festivals and, kids can get up on the stage during Black History Month and just, be the plantation, the happy little pickaninnies, which is basically, what it has been. If there's no drumming, no dancing, and no spirituals, then how can it be Black History Month? Because that is your history. Says whom? Oh, okay. The neo-Nazis who are not neo, they just Nazis straight up. Ain't no need trying to, but hey, it is what it is. They're going to do what they feel as though they need to do. And my statement is we need to do what we feel as though we need to do.
You're effing ain't right, we do.
And it has to be, there has to be a priestly, a spiritual, or religious construct around it, because the spirit is what moves us. The spirit is what possesses us. Okay? So we will make this happen. Okay? This thing called the Ojise Institute, this thing called initiating people who have fire in them to go out and make positive and productive changes in our community. But if not, then what? Oh, the next Bembe, the next, what gathering. Okay, that's fine. But what are we doing? And I'm telling you, I'm a little pissed right now. Okay, because I don't know if you can tell, but anyway, but I came across a piece, man, and it was like, and I'm going to segue into cultural inertia, because this is all a warm up, okay, before the big game. Got flashing all over freaking Facebook and whatever, and stating, if you really want to get high, make a airbow, make a blood airbow. This is the kind of bull crap that's out there. I can't mention names,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Listen here, we talk. Yeah. That's why I ain't gonna lie. That's why I ain't been on social media, man. I mean, I'm on here on YouTube, but other than that, all the other channels, listen, because it's a lot going on, a whole lot.
That's why I am on it.
Yeah, I got you.
That's why I am on it, because it's like, and I responded to the person. I said, airbows aren't for that, and you must resolve that within yourself. And these animals aren't being sacrificed for you to be getting into your get high about it. But see, this is what happens when things become other than what they are designed to become. And no, we're not going to take away the money factor. No, we're not going to take away the small-mindedness of the priestly. Okay? Because the people aren't going out making the airbows just cause. Somebody's telling them to do that, and then they're doing it. Okay? Out of trust or just out of whatever ish. Okay. But see, then the question becomes, all right, priestly people, what is your purpose? What are you doing to have people start to take on that kind of energy and attitude? That's it. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. But I'm like, you know what? It's only the result of the continual BS, okay, that's out there and destroying not only that person, but everyone who's connected with that person and everyone who's in Ifa and Isheshe. Okay, if you want to get high, make a blood elbow. I'm like, okay,
that's crazy.
It is, but it's understandable, because in a sense, isn't that what's happening? Go to, and when your high wear down, come back and get some more. When your high wear down, come back and get some more. Or we got you weak and confused, come back and get weaker and more confused. Okay, because we're gonna have you hooked on this, but you're not going to really evolve and progress because of it, even though you're becoming like a warriors hand of fire, da 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 da. You doing all of this, you got 500 pots all around you, and you still like, well, hell, what's the old do? You know what I mean? And like what? What? Okay. And what historical context do you know? What historical context do you know? So I'm like, I got to go in, you know, I got to go hard. You know, it's like there's no, you know, cushy kind of, you know, crunchy kind of way to get us out of this. You know, this is just not. It's like get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, hit the gym, you know, get out on the field, do what you need to do to improve yourself. Because we're not celebrating, you know, we're educating for the purpose of liberating. We are the priestly amongst the people. What are we? Well, what's the do? And we're in and out. I ain't got time for that. You know, because anybody can memorize anything. They would memorize in the Bible while lynching us. You know, so what? You know, so that's not the purpose. The purpose is to be transformed. The purpose is for the person to ascend. And you don't need 450,000 verses in order to do that. What you need is to take what is, you know, pertinent to you at any given stage and utilize it to clear your road as you're walking it. It's like, come on, people, we got to step out of this Catholic Christian kind of state of mind. You think everybody in Nigeria during ancient times was walking around, you know, spouting off all the Odu and every verse in the Odu, and if you didn't know this verse, then you know, like, come on, we are so out of context, you know, that it's ridiculous. We're just recreating, you know, the Vatican. We really are. And it's about time somebody like points the finger and says, okay, I had to turn the finger from this way in order to be of help to my people.
I should.
We got to start making sense of this. So that got me, along with the whole, you know, we got to celebrate Black History Month. No, we don't have to celebrate it. We have to be educated by it. And this leads me to the last thing before the fire go out.
Hey, keep that thing burning, because I'm gonna throw some more lighter fluid and fuel up on it as soon as you finish.
All right. Let me hurry up.
Yeah, keep it burning. Hey, keep it burning. So, we got time today. We got time today, buddy.
So I'm doing some study on the Underground Railroad, right? And I'm reading Ta-Nehisi Coates, The Water Dancer, and it's all just coming to me. You know, I'm reading the book on The Coming, you know, where all of these deep, you know, insights and perspectives on, you know, the capture, the enslavement, and the cry for freedom and the actualization of freedom, quote unquote. All right. Now, here we have what's called, and I never heard of this, years of school and college and blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. But there was something called the Saltwater Underground Railroad. And I'm like, what? Okay, let me start, you know, flipping through books and finding channels and doing whatever I need to do to get a deeper understanding of this. Because see, that's why I'm here. Okay. And then how is this knowledge going to basically empower me? Okay. Well, come to find out that our people, basically in the southernmost states, let's just say Georgia, Alabama, Florida, you know, all that, they were going south into Florida to emancipate themselves. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, I heard winds of it, you know, the Seminoles, the Black Seminoles, okay, which was in the mixture of our people with the indigenous folks of Florida. And then, you know, upon deeper knowledge, you're like, okay, Florida, Ponce de Leon and all that. You heard about the conquistadors and they glorify these mass murderers. Okay. And it's like, okay, so Florida during all the time of the 13 colonies was held by the Spanish up until maybe the 1820s. Okay. Now you figure 1820, 1920, 2020. We're not talking about ancient history right here, right now. And I think I shared with the group one time before about St. Augustine being not the oldest city. Spanish folks have been here long before the English, by 200-300 years. But what I'm laying out is there was an underground railroad, okay, conceptually speaking, that led from the Carolinas on down to the Georgias and Alabamas and into Florida, because the Spanish were like, you get to Florida, you're going to be free, because see, we trying to keep these Anglos out of here. Okay. So, or you get here, you can fight for us. You can do whatever you feel as though you need to do, but we're going to lay off for y'all because we're trying to hold on to this territory. All right. Smart move by the Spaniards at the time. Okay. But African folks were like, we don't even want to really be here. We don't want to really be under any Europeans. So then what happened was there were always ships from the people of the Bahamas, okay? Especially during around the 1830s or so. Remember, 1830, 1930, it's not even 2030. We're not talking about ancient history here, where our people were canoeing out to these fishing boats and being taken to the Bahamas. I'm like, wow. Now we ain't talking about no one or two people right up in here, you know. And then the abolitionists kind of got in, and by this time, England had abolished slavery, and the English ruled the Bahamas. So it was like, if you get to the Bahamas, you are a quote unquote free Negro. So folks were leaving, you know, again, the southernmost states and getting down into Florida, which was, you know, was just wild country before the Anglos took over, like I said, that 1820s, 1830s. And then, of course, they brought slavery with them into the Florida territories. But, you know, all of this is like, well, how come we never hear about this? And what about the religious context? How did Shango get to Trinidad? Well, it wasn't just from the West African shores. It was also from those who had escaped enslavement, who through the Bahamas wound up in other areas of the Caribbean. I'm like, darn, that's some powerful information. That's some powerful information. Now we're going to talk about even going to folks who made it into Mexico. Okay. But see, this is why celebrating blinds us, because we just want to sing. I've been to so many Black History celebrations where that's all they did. And then call up, a few people in their suits and talk about this and talk about that. But then that's it. That's it. Nothing more, a whole lot less. So I'm like, well, those of us of the priestly order, or striving to be, those of us within the ATRs, if we still want to call it that, why aren't we leading the charge? We're definitely not waiting for this government. Well, it ain't the first time somebody got in there that was hard on us. Then this is definitely not the first time we got somebody that was hard on us. Okay, but here we are. Okay, here we are.
We're here now.
All right, my brother. All right.
Nah, yeah, that's real. And shoot, I was gonna drive down one road, but I didn't mess around and and we forgot what that road was, but I still got a lot more where that came from. So, anyways, yeah. So shout out to the brother. Let me pull it back up. Kyle Rochelle. Shout out to Ifa Segun too. He said he's glad that DT is making these moves because it's really forcing us to look at ourselves and our place on this land and in this world. So that right there, what brother Kyle Rochelle, I can't tell if that's brother or sister. So whoever it is, Kyle Rochelle, my apologies because the profile picture is hard for me to determine. But either way it goes, I appreciate the comment, and I definitely want to like share my little 2 cents on that. So that's real talk because all these people that was in the uproar about they want Trump, they wanted Kamala. It didn't matter who got in there. We were still going to be dealing with bullshit regardless of whichever candidate got into office because that's just what it is. But I'll say that to say this: right now, it's definitely it's a lot going on, and it goes back to what I was sharing when you was when the technology was acting up about the symbolism in the number 9, as well as like what's going on from a cosmic metaphysical level, right? So there's a whole lot that's going on in regards to this 9 year. So we know because we've already hit this. For those who are loyal, supporters that's been rocking with us for a minute, y'all seen the interview that we did about when we hit a lot of the symbolisms and a lot of synchronicities and just a lot of divine alignments in regards to this 9. But Baba, I remember when you first saw the journal, when I sent you the manuscript, when you looked it over. I remember one of the parts that I remember you said that stuck out to you was the part about the 3, the 6, and the 9 with with the affirmations, right? So that was intentional. That was definitely intentional because of the fact that I know the symbolism in regards to like what's going on with those numbers, and I know how significant how powerful they are in regards to those numbers as well, especially when you're talking about the feminine energy. So with that, based off of, like I said, the podcast I was watching last night, which was dope, the sister who was the Kemetic priestess, she was speaking about, they was talking about the 666 and how that's tied to, she was saying how it's tied to the Kemetic feminine deities. I believe she said it was Asar, Sekhmet, and I can't remember the third one, but either way it goes, to me, it was like our feminine deities, which would be Imoja, Oya, and Oshun. You know what I mean? So it's like it's the same, like I said earlier, same concept, same nature, same origin, same elements of nature. They all have the same influence, throughout whether the cosmos or on the planet or within our body structure. So either way it goes, the symbolism with the significance of the number 9, with 9 being, I'm just going to focus on, the number that's attributed to her, the power that's attributed to her, the destruction that's attributed to her, as well as the forceful, uncontrollable ability to destroy at will. And I do mean at will. For those who live on the East Coast of America, especially the Southeast Coast, y'all know what them hurricanes do. So with that, she would talk about how the feminine energy is here to take precedence because it's the time for the mothers. It's the time for the feminine energy to be throned where they never really came off the throne, but because it's been a patriarchal society that's been in quote unquote control of the mainstream society or cultural dominance, that's what they like to put up in order for them to quote unquote continue to be that Wizard of Oz type figure that they are. You know what I mean? But now that's done. And I just saw while you was when I was off camera, it was another plane crash just hitting Philly. And I'm talking about literally, I just saw that. So it's like these ain't coincidences, family. That last one, God bless, to the people who passed, I think yesterday, a couple days ago, the one that just happened, then the one tonight. My condolences for those people, but these are coincidences. These are not coincidences, and none of this stuff is by mistake. It's all by design. Now, are they real crashes? I don't know because the technology is so far advanced right now. Project Bluebeam and all these other things that they have, created in order to manipulate people's minds and manipulate and control people's thoughts and all the things that these alphabet agencies have created. All of that is for a specific reason. Okay, the planet herself has elevated and has went to much higher levels of energy and much higher levels of vibrational frequency that if you're tapped in and you're tuned in, I know you're feeling what's going on right now. I know people can feel the amounts of energy. I know people can feel the shifts in energy. I know people can feel other people's energy. Some people can probably read other people's minds. Some people probably can see in other people's life. Like, it's so many different things that's happening now from a metaphysical level that is unbelievable. And I remember, I'll never forget, probably about a year and a half, I remember driving to Lowe's. I had to go get a couple things for the house. And I remember telling the queen, I'm like, yo, this is it. And she's like, what you talking about? I said, this is it. She's like, what is it? I said, this is the time now where it's been predicted in the Bible. It's been predicted in all the ancient scribes. It's been predicted in so many different tablets and so many different places in regards to this World War III or this Armageddon type, thing that's going on. And I remember I personally myself had a dream maybe around 2011, 2012 that was so real, I'll never forget it. It was crystal clear. I'm talking about crystal clear, where we were in the same kind of environment we're in now. And then all of a sudden we had some real, real strong, powerful visitors that came and shut everything down. I'm talking about shut the whole everything down, like straight up. And then we were able to reestablish the dominance of the positive light, high vibrational frequency light beings, the gods and goddesses of the much higher levels and dimensions of existence that were able to come and take control and help, to get this planet back where it's supposed to be, which is in alignment with the divine feminine, or I dare to say, just in the whole alignment with the balance of masculine and feminine energy in a unified, balanced, literally environment. And it's like, it's powerful, man. And I remember that dream was so profound. I never forgot it. And then I remember seeing a documentary not too long ago where there was a lady who was a contactee, where she actually had an experience in real life that was identical to my experience in the dream. So I'm like, yo, this shit is crazy, because I really felt like I was living both moments in two different realms. Kind of like something we spoke about before with those two different realms, except for her actual visitation. She's seen it happen in real life while she was consciously awake. Mine's happened when I was sleeping in the spiritual realm and in the sleep state, where I saw it, but it was so real. It was more real to me in that state than it was even like explaining it right now. And so it's a lot of that going on, man. I'm telling you. So it's about to get real deep, family. It's already deep, but it's going to get a whole lot more interesting. Yes,
Well,
sir.
I mean, I find that, very powerful. And again, uh, throughout humankind's evolution and throughout humankind's ability to tap into the surreal world, there's been countless instances where people have made that kind of journey, I mean, countless. And many of them, some became prophet figures, some of it became, even deified, because of the depth of their insight. Some of them became healers.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, we're kind of miseducated to state, that that's beyond human, that's different, that's uh, inner or interterrestrial. My statement is, that's the way it's supposed to be. And those of us who are gifted, instead of being accused of witchcraft and, making, people feel like they have to turn to, destructive tendencies, as opposed to what we're doing, gathering people of this ability to build fortresses psychospiritually, to carve out of the madness a semblance of not only survival for humanity at large, but our people specifically, to carve out of the madness elements of hope and of understanding, because in the same sense, how do you think that the ancient combatants felt when the Romans were coming in and slaughtering the combatants by the thousands? And then the Christianized Ethiopians joined the Romans. You understand? And so it's like, you're supposed to be my brother. But then, so you have people being slaughtered. But then there were people who said, I saw it coming. I knew that it was going to happen. And then on the other end, the priestly are like, well, we're in touch with our divinities, and there's been warnings, but some of the priestly sold out. Just because you priestly, that doesn't mean you divine. It doesn't even mean you for your people. I mean, let's be for real. Okay. So, this whole now has been forever. We've been displaced, we've been pushed, there's been tyrants even amongst us. Okay. But what are we going to do? Okay. We're going to build. We're going to pass on a lineage of lecture that highlights the reality of our existence, and not the fairy tale or the hyped up or the overly syncretized. And I say overly because we're all, the result of some form of syncretism, even prior to Europeans, because as Baba Orisha Bami was stated, we have Kemetan influence, on the West, but the West also has influence on the Kemetans who traveled back with knowledge of the Benin Empire, or, the ancient Benin Empire and ancient Ile-Ife. Okay. Back in the day when I traveled around doing lectures, carrying on, and I always kind of point out how there have been individuals in the audience who did not want to hear anything about even Ile-Ife. We didn't come here for that. We don't want to know anything about the history. We just want to know about, the power of Shango, or we want to know about, we want to know about this one. Okay, well, it's fine to know about that, but daggone, how many, okay, you got a whole lot of people who can share that kind of knowledge and information with you. I still learn about them. But that's not the totality, my brothers, my sister. That's not the totality. How you're not going to have any historical context? See, you're stuck in cultural inertia. You don't want to move beyond what you've been given. You see? Now, I'm saying that we have to move the culture along. But let's talk about Ile-Ife for a minute. Okay. How many Iles you been to that they ever even mention Ile-Ife? But then, as we do here with comparative analysis, how many times would you go to church and hear about Jerusalem and Bethlehem and all of that? You understand? And how many times does Muslim hear about Mecca? You know what I mean? And all of that. You hear about all of that in terms of not only cultural centers, but spiritual centers. Okay. So here we have the first of the Ifes was Ife Odaye. Okay. And I mentioned that in the New Global Perspective books, because I just felt as though it's something that we should know as the priestly, or those aspiring to be priestly. Okay. Where's your spiritual center? Oh, Rome. I mean, really? Really? Okay. No, if we're going to do Yoruba, okay, which again is a more of a colloquial term than an actual reality. That term didn't come about till the 1820s or whatever, 1820, 1920, 2020. So it's not like it's ancient history. But anyway, so we have Ife Odaye. It's said to go back over 3,000 years before Christ. Okay. So here we have an ancient city that we've never seen, okay, any media projection of. And so we're left with speculation and conjecture. Not to say that there hasn't been any discoveries that we could creatively recreate, like they creatively recreate, Eurocentric. You know, nobody now was living during the times of the Greeks and the Romans, but they have buildings and they have art and they have literature, et cetera, et cetera. And so they recreate it in the image of their imagination. We're not permitted to do that, to the point where we don't even give ourselves permission to do it. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Okay. So we have Ife Odaye, okay, going back 3,000 years, and stated to have had a lot of interaction with the various civilizations, to include ancient Kemet. All right. And there's data to support this. It's not just, you know, I'm just saying this because I want to say it. You know, I'm saying it because there's studies to support it. Okay. Then we have Ife Oyelagbo. That's called the city of survivors. Okay. Because there was a natural catastrophe that basically wiped out Ife Odaye. Some people say it was the flood. You know, everybody has something to say, but we do know, based on archaeological findings, that there was a city beneath the city. I'm like, wow, okay. And then now 3 is what we know as Ile Ife. And this is when Oduduwa comes on the scene. And to some accounts, Orunmila was already there. Okay. Obatala, Oshun, Yemoja, they were well known during this time. Okay. And then later on, you have, from the surrounding areas, you have people like Shango come in. And then you have the Ogun folks coming in and you know, bringing the Ogun element in as the epitome of warriors, hunters, and yes, even diviners. Okay. So again, I put this out there to say that the cultural inertia that we're stuck in is basically, is basically one of design. We're stuck on, this is what our people did. This is the right way. This is the wrong way. How many stones in your pot? You know, you're not really a priest. You know, if you're going to be Oshun, then you need to be like this. You got to make an ebo every time you walk in the door. You know what I mean? That's inertia. That's stuck into somebody else's mind frame that is basically telling you, okay, that this is how it should be. And if it's not this way, then you're not doing it correctly. And I'm like, how Catholic is that? Okay. There is no right or wrong way. There's just growing. It's just evolving. It's just taking what you can in your lifetime and making that the seed that bears fruit from within. I don't see how that can be argued. Because other than that, you're just trying to get people to march to the same, you know, drum beat and be commanded. And how spiritual is that? You know? Okay, brother.
No, I didn't want to interrupt you. I was just sharing with the tribe. I just put the link in because when you were talking about the about like Ile Ife and Oduduwa and you know all that, for a lot of our new tribe members who might not have been around, I put an episode up. I put a link in the description from episode 26. So kind of like from the beginning of the podcast, and that was when we were in the Oni's palace. You know, when I got the opportunity to meet the Oni and Ile Ife, and I was sharing with the tribe in the comments. The tour guide actually spoke about that flood. They have visual pictures and like they got doggone like murals in the Oni's palace where they actually show everything that you were just talking about. They have it there and they have the pictures and everything. And then they break down through the tour about how that flood did happen, the deluge and all that. And then he also spoke about the arrival of Oduduwa. And then he spoke about I think it was about 4 or 5 Onis that ruled Ile Ife that were all immortals. They were not regular human beings. They were immortals. Oduduwa, Ogun was one of them. And if I'm not mistaken, it might have been Obalufon. It was like 4 or 5 different Onis who ruled in Ile Ife who were immortals. They were not of human, mankind, human descent. They were actual supernatural beings. And it was so dope. But I just shared that link for the tribe if y'all want to go back and check that video out. And I didn't even share all the footage that I have in that episode. As a matter of fact, I have more that I can share. But that part with the tour guide talking about Oduduwa, Ile Ife, the deluge, and the immortals being, rulers, the Onis who were immortals who were rulers of Ile Ife. So I just wanted to share that real quick with the tribe. That's what that link was for.
Oh no, man, it's right on point. Can we get this off about the hurricane?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Got it.
Thank you. All right. So now, that we're covering certain elements of cultural inertia, okay, which basically means a person or group who's stuck within a cultural box, so to speak, whereas in nothing outside of the box is acceptable. Nothing outside of the box is deemed worthy of being embraced. And I'm like, why become educated? Okay. It's just that whole thing of, when you go away to college or you go away to the military or when you go away and then you come back to the house, much less the neighborhood. And there's people there who haven't really moved on, haven't traveled much, haven't studied much. Okay. You start to see that this cultural inertia, can be very stifling and if not careful, very dangerous. Because whenever someone comes in to bring change or a different way of thinking, regardless of how elevated that is. I mean, they pushed Aesop off a cliff, okay? But the whole thing is that cultural inertia within Isheshe is an intellectual fallacy. Who in their right mind, and I'm not trying to be, judgmental here. I'm trying to be thoughtful. Who in their right mind still believes, I won't even use the word think, that the way Ifa Isheshe is practiced even today is the same as if it was 3,000 years ago? How is that even possible? How is it even possible, as one Baba reached out to me and stated his being uncomfortable with Islamic texts within the Odu. Okay? Because the Muslims didn't come on the scene until 600-700s AD. So if Ifa is going back 3,000 years, conceptually speaking, Orunmila is just somebody who just put a whole lot of things together. There were people before him who were putting things together. Okay. But he's closest to our time frame and to our ability to conceptually reach. Okay. And of course, now that the writing has taken place and, the commonality of, in our case, English, okay, we have greater access, but he definitely wasn't the only one, But see, that's that Vatican teaching. Oh, this was Jesus and all. No. Okay. It's a line of And as Baba Orisha Baby stated about Tehuti, okay, it could go back that far. And who were the students, and who were the disciples who traveled out through the land, teaching this vast knowledge, teaching this wisdom, and who was going to Kemet, okay, to study. All of the Greek philosophers were going. So why couldn't the people from the African continent go? You understand? But we don't see that. But our cultural inertia doesn't allow us to even want to turn the pages and study it, because we're so busy, trying to reinforce something that we have no clue about. And why don't we have a clue about it? Because we don't cross-reference, we don't do comparative analysis, we don't introspect our experiences. I'm feeling elated that several people who are studying with me are they're writing down their experiences. Okay. And I say, well, it's not because you want to write a book and sell it. It's because you want to make sense of what's happening to you. That's part of the transformative process. To say, no, this is not a passive, recipient, just come and sit and somebody's going to pour something into you. That's the downfall of the educational system, really. Where there's no interaction, there's no engagement, there's no where the student is coming from. It's just, I have the knowledge, I'm going to give it to you. That's not the only way that people learn. That's not the only way that people grow. And we're stuck in inertia if we feel as though that is. We really, really are. Because we're taught not to question, we're taught not to introspect, we're taught not to even share our dreams, much less embrace the fact that they are real. You see? But we want to get into African traditional religion. Well, Africa is a very vast continent. You might want to be a little bit more specific. And then you might want to try to tie in, how whatever it is that you grasp, okay, has relative factors and some sense of substantiation. Other than that, you just believe in that you believe in. I mean, let's be for real. Come on, dude. It's time to act like grown folks up in here. Okay? And we have to stop celebrating, because that's part of the inertia. Don't you understand that cyclic? Oh, we just the happy slaves. We got our Orisha. I got 10 pots. The old dude said that I should stop eating pork, even though I got high blood pressure and I'm falling off of out the chair every 10 seconds. But I need the old dude to tell me that. That's still that's still disempowering. And that's part of the Abrahamic way of controlling us, by disempowering us, by dishistoricalizing us, by dishumanizing us. So why are we in Ifa and Isheshe if we're just going to continue to do the same thing to ourselves and to one another? And if it's time for a change, my brothers and my sisters, then let's make it. Okay. And just keep talking about it. Oh, it's time for a change. It's time for a change. Well, daggone it, then let's make the change. What are you waiting for? Approval? Courage? Oh, I got my Orisha. Okay, well, fine. Okay. What are you doing with it? Where are you going with it? Who are you assisting with it? Okay. What wars are you waging with it? Where's your voice? One of the sisters, I'm gonna give her a shout out. Ibeji, hit me up, and it was like, when I watch your podcast, and it gave me strength to now I feel more moved, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, to speak out against what I feel as though are injustices. And I was like, that's the best news I've heard since January 1st. Because here you are, you're an ear, okay? and you're doing good work, you know, with the women and the poverty and having a feminine product for our young queens. Okay, but now you want to take it up another notch. You feel as though you have a voice to speak out against certain injustices. I'm not like, all right, Ia, I hear you. I really, really do. Okay. And then up and coming, or Oshuniyi, you know, it's all Caribbean Nation kind of people. It's like, yeah, you know, I'm going to keep taking care of these babies. And by that, she means working in the social service system, assisting in people who are impoverished, not only financially speaking, but psychologically speaking. I said, all right, Iya, to be, I hear you. Because see, we're the priestly. Okay. It's what we're supposed to do, you know. Baba Orisha Bami. Oh, we're not just going to talk about putting together a school, an institute. We're going to do it, and it's done. See, so you know these are shout outs to just you know put an emphasis on, you know, more than rhetoric. There needs to be actual getting it done. You know, but we have to step back to the culture of inertia. Now, in closing on this, or at least this chapter, is that the term that's coming out now, Ifa Tuntun, Tuntun. Now that Ifa Tuntun is coming out of Nigeria, okay, and it's basically stating as put forth by the I would say Baba Abambola. Okay. You know, and that is all right. Do we really need animal sacrifices every time we turn around? You know, do we really need people stuck on you know, dance and ceremony? We got people like Baba Daramola, you know, who's coming out with work that like I shared with him today, I feel kindred with, because we're getting into the psyche of it, the psychospiritual of it, and to say that Ifa, however the sacrificial part came in, just like there were sacrifices going on with the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans and the ancient, you know, Judaic people, you name it, the whole Mid-Eastern theater, Middle Eastern theater, the whole, the Commetans were doing animal sacrifices, you know, all of that. Yeah, okay, that was done then. But are you telling me that people who embrace the Cometan way of life feel as though they have to go sacrifice? Okay, you don't really hear that even too much mentioned. Okay, because we're getting the folks are getting into the study of it, but that doesn't mean that they're not being evolved by it. So you have a Shek Anta Diop. Okay, and now you know the Ifa Tuntun people are saying that, you know, we don't necessarily need to keep doing it the way that people think that we should be doing it, based on what has been more of gentrification, you know, what excites the European. Okay, the dancing, back to the entertaining and the celebrating, and you know, the bloodlust and whatever else that goes on, strictly, you know, but extracted and highlighted to degrees of absurdity. Okay. Whereas in the real thinkers, the philosophers, you know, the people who are putting this together are stating that just like it was changed before, there has to be elements of change now. It is not the same Ifa of 3,000 years ago, my people, and trying to make it that way. Well, you can. I mean, well, the people in Pennsylvania, that the Amish, they're still living in carts and horse and buggies and all that kind of thing. But that's their chosen way of life. And so they are in their cultural inertia, but they're not going out and trying to make other people that, or stating that they're less Christian or more Christian because of that or this. Okay. We're making a serious mistake in saying that Ifa has to be this way. And if you don't do it the way that it says in the Odu and all that kind of stuff, the Odu has been changed countless numbers of times. Countless numbers of times. And it speaks to different people in different ways. There's no necessity. You can make ebos and not be changed in regards to your Iwa Puele, your Iwa Lewa, or your Iwa Laye. Your character, your oneness with nature, or in your transformational self. You can make all the ebos you want because, see, that's what you choose. But then there's people who say, I don't want to do the elbows, but I choose to live the philosophical tenets and make myself better as a result. I don't need to tell you which group I'd rather stick with. The ones who are working on in bettering themselves, or the one who feel as though this is E5 and, you got to have 10 chickens and all that kind of stuff and not really change as a result. That's cultural inertia. You are stuck into a place that you know nothing about. Nothing about. No study, no questioning. You're just doing what the gentrification has stated is what Ifa is. And I'm like, no, it isn't. No, it isn't. There are options in there. And there's room for change. It's not the same as it was because people got their heads together and said, you know what? This is not the way. Like we talked about human sacrifices, and we talked about the sacrifice of twins. And I didn't even get into how albinos were treated back in the day. And with the sisters, again, the whole polygamy thing. It's like, really? You want to be stuck in the cultural inertia? Then go back and start doing some of that stuff. Go back and start doing some of that and see where you end up. We have to make sense. We have to make sense of what we're doing and why we're doing it, and not just following some whatever-ish, that goes into the secularization and criminalization of our people. Let's face it, the non-intellectualizing of our people. Let's face it. As I stated on one of the meetings, the candomblé, which I love, I was there in Bahia. I would not kiss anybody's ring, trust me, okay? But the whole thing was that learning that it was the Catholics who allowed the Yoruba religious tradition to continue, but only under certain conditions. And of course, those conditions revolved around festivity and docility. Those were the two conditions. And if you didn't want to abide by that, it wasn't until the freaking 1970s, and in some cases, even the 1990s, that practicing African traditional religions, quote unquote, was illegal in my lifetime. And that goes for the Caribbean as well as South America. Illegal. You get caught, you get imprisoned or killed. 1970s? I mean, really, 30, 40 years ago? Okay. I was just looking at Trinidad because I was there in '99 at a conference, and it wasn't until 1995 that Trinidad said, "Oh, it's okay to exercise your religious freedom from an African traditional way." 1995, people. Okay, so it's understandable. We're coming out of the spiritual enslavement, so to speak, and we're trying desperately to pull this together. But the mistake that's being made is we're trying to stay stuck somewhere that is not making any sense. That is not making any sense. You can't pick and choose and say, this is Ifa, and then state, well, if somebody else picks and choose what they want, oh, that's not Ifa. That's unfair. It's unfair. You know? And there's a sense of arrogance to it. My whole thing is, when they, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to sit back. When they try to get me to take Ebos out of the handbook, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when now the handbooks are classic, and now, we're going to do a revision. This is the publisher speaking. They were Jewish, but now they've been bought out by the Oyimbos, and of course here they come wanting to, turn it into the new age, and again, celebratory and astral and la 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 la. I'm like, no, baby, this is hard. This is hard truth right here. And you're not going to do it, not on my watch, not with my book, not with my people. So it took about 1.5 years of negotiations for them to just say, all right, we'll leave it in, but we're going to put a disclaimer. I'm like, whatever. Okay, but you're not going to rewrite my book and sell it to my people. Oh, yeah.
A disclaimer?
Fought for us. They put a disclaimer in the beginning that, the whatever is not necessarily the views of we of Red Wheel Wiser, and I'm like, whatever, okay, because you know what, it's a new day. It's a new day, and I'm stronger than I was yesterday. Okay, so the book is still out there, okay, and we're still doing what we set out to do, but you will not defeat me. Okay, you will not disintegrate me. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Tear me apart. You're not going to dismember me, because my state of spiritual evolution will not permit it. Will not permit it. I'm not trying to be the preacher. Okay? You know what I mean? I'm not looking for your favor, nor your grace, nor your God. I got mine. Okay? Urumila, Obatala, I can name them all. They all fingers on the hand, fingers on 2 hands, toes too. I move, I walk, I talk. I am it. I am the ancestral reflection.
I was about to say, look in the mirror.
Hey,
every day.
You understand? And if you don't have a mirror, close your eyes. Yep. See yourself from the in. Be your own reflection.
Yes, sir. That part.
So that's kind of it on that. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, this cultural inertia thing is just crazy. And then the Ifa Tum, some of the higher ups in the Ifa, land of hierarchy. It's like, we get it, we can't have Ifa vibrantly reverberating and resonating throughout the diaspora, and all people think of us is the blood sacrifice, and all we think of ourselves is blood sacrifice. Yeah, there are portions of that, and when it's necessary, yes, it's necessary. I get it. People like, oh, well, the Jewish people do it. Yeah, but they do it once a year. They don't do it every time you turn around and the car got a flat tire, so I'm gonna go make an elbow. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, you go put air in the tire, get a new tire. Or what? You know what I mean? You're being disempowered, you know? So all I say to my people is, you know, there's a time when these things need to be done, understood. But then you got to take into consideration what's done with the meat. Then you got to take into consideration, you know what I mean? Are you just doing it to be doing it, or just doing it to be told? You know, because you've been told, and not thinking about, well, you know, maybe a little bit of recce might help, or you know what I mean? Maybe I'd take a yoga class. Maybe I should take some herbs. Maybe there's something I can do. But see, back to the full circle. If I just want to get high, if I want that adrenaline rush, then yeah, let's sacrifice as many animals as we can. We don't even burn them on the altar. We just kill them with no contextual reality. Do we even know what the animal represents? You see? And that's why Ifa Tuntun is starting to gain. And again, that's why some of the cultural inertia people are like, well, no, this is the way it's done. And this is the way our ancestors did it. And I'm like, how do you know what your ancestors did? I mean, really? I mean, tell me, how do you know what your ancestors 500 years were doing? Do you think everybody was doing this? I mean, come on now. Let's be real. Let's be real. Or somebody told you they ate monkey meat. So you're gonna believe, oh, your ancestors ate monkey meat? You know what I mean? You're gonna think that it's well, might be a little too old for some of you. This Tarzanian thing where everybody just ran around in loincloths and threw spears and whatnot. You really think that's all it's about? You think that that's what your ancestors really, really are? I'm like, poor thing. They really got you. And now you don't want to step out of that and see the mathematics and the science and the philosophy. You don't want to step out of your cultural inertia and see that time changes everything. Why won't you change with time? Because you're stuck on, the whatever I'm told, not whatever I've come to realize. And that is problematic. Okay? Ashe.
Asheo. Yeah, man. Shout out. Excuse me. Shout out to the tribe still coming in the building. Shout out to Mr. Rodriguez. I think I saw a couple more people slide through, man. Appreciate y'all for coming out, family. Yeah, that's some real talk though, Baba. Like real talk. Excuse me. And man, like what you were saying, like that's so real in so many different aspects in regards to like cultural inertia. Because let's just look at it like I've seen this. I've seen it in a familial aspect. I've seen it in school. I've seen it playing ball, being a ball player. I've seen it watching sports. I've seen it in the hood. Like I've seen it in a lot of different places where it's like we're confined to, this quote unquote box that we've been kind of placed in. And it's like because we're now conditioned within that box, we have kind of lost all desire, all curiosity, all motivation or inspiration to figure out what could possibly exist outside of this box. And what I mean by that, I'll just go back to circa 92, 93, 94, 95, being in like junior high and high school. And I just remember like being in the hood, man, in the neighborhood. And like, I looked at and saw how some of us, depending on, how we were brought up, how we were raised, our upbringing, and, our experiences, some people that I know never left like literally the city limits of where I'm from. Some people maybe never left the county, from where I'm from. Some people maybe never left the state from where I'm from. And so it's like those are like really those are really like things that I think is really difficult in regards for people who have traveled, who have been outside of these boxes or outside of these confines of what the quote unquote construct or the matrix is, right? So it's like, if you don't know anything different, you don't wonder, you don't yearn, you don't think, you don't ponder. None of these things kind of cross your mind because we're set up in the inertia. We're set up in that conditioning aspect of being within inside that box. So if that's all you know, you really don't have, I feel like, the opportunity to even have a vision of opportunities of other experiences of ways to grow. So I'll use, for a perfect example, and I'm sure you already know this, but I'm sure a lot of all the tribe knows it. But let's just say, for example, I remember when I was little, my father had an Oscar, right? A pet fish. You know, the fish tanks. He had a real big fish tank, and he had a I think they call cichlids, their biological name, but Oscars is what they called them back in the day. But they were like nice sized fish. And I remember he had a real big fish tank. So his Oscar, that joker got big, like real big. Like some people used to talk about they wanted to eat him, like he was that big. But the only reason that that particular Oscar was able to grow that big is because he had a big environment, considering, you know what I mean,
Yes.
for a house. So now if you take that same Oscar, and let's just say, I think Potts might have had probably, he had a big tank. Let's say maybe a 80, 100 gallon tank. I don't know. It was big. But let's just say if you took that same 80-gallon tank, right? And then you flip the script and you gave that same Oscar a tank that's only like a 20-gallon tank. Okay, that Oscar that was like this big, he's only going to get about this big now because he couldn't grow if he wanted to because his environment doesn't give him the opportunity to expand.
Yes.
So therefore, I feel like that's where we are as a people. Culturally, we're
Yes.
stuck inside this inertia, inside this like confinement of being in that box, but being comfortable with it, being cool with it. Like, yeah, I'm good here. Nah, I've never been cool with that box. From a little boy, I'm telling you, I remember, I've said it on here several times. I remember going to church with my grandma and and I'm not judging or knocking Christians or the church or tithes, none of that, but I do remember as a little boy, 5, 6 years old, it struck a chord in me and it bothered me, the fact that we had to pay for what I felt like blessings. Like, why are we paying God to be blessed if we're God's children? Shouldn't we get blessed for free? Like, why we got to pay? As a little boy, it never resonated with me. It never sat well with me because it just didn't feel right. And so from that point forward, I just recall as I got older, when I was able to look in, research, and start doing my own thing, that's when I started messing around and studying. I think I first came across Malcolm X and came across the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. You know what I mean? It's like it was a progressive, slow, morph to something where I feel like magnetism or the energy was pulling me closer to something that I felt like was more about kind of the constructs of where I feel like I might fit or belong. And not necessarily from a follower's perspective, but more so from relatability, from a ebb and flow energy magnetism perspective, where I could dig this because this seems and feels more real to me. And then when I saw Malcolm, it was over because at that point, I'm like, okay, that's more me right there. That makes a lot more sense for me. And then when I went deeper into that, that's when I started finding the Honorable Marcus Garvey, and then it's just so on and so forth. That's when I got into metaphysics and Kemet, and the rest is history. But I just say all that to say that there's a lot of us who we don't know no different, we don't know no better, and we're cool and comfortable with being inside of that box to the point where, unfortunately, I feel like some of us, if not a lot of us, is to our demise because we're so conditioned and comfortable with it. We're not even giving ourselves the permission to even fathom thinking what the possibilities could be outside of that box. So it's a deep, really, 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 really deep topic and a really deep conversation.
And you get people who are willing to die for the box.
Yes.
Or
kill for it.
And you have to say and kill for it.
Yeah.
I remember coming back from the military, man, and people were like, oh, you in the military, blah, 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 blah. I said, mind your business, brother. You know what I mean? There ain't nobody. Y'all, who was it? Who killed Malcolm again? And I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't want to hear this, that, and the other thing. I just want you to answer the question. Oh, man, well, like if you were at a party and somebody was acting up at the party, what you doing? Come on, man, you making absolutely no sense. Two things that we need to do here. One is that come to a peaceful agreement that you're going to do what you want to do and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. All right. Two is that we're going to come to an agreement. You're going to do what you're going to do and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I'm going to turn around, I'm going to walk away from here. And then that's going to be that. Okay. I didn't come up to you bothering you. Don't come up to me, because see, I got this whole kind of Islamic thing. I got a little something that's not letting me go beyond the philosophy of Malcolm. I get it, of El Hajj, but he came to realize as well that the beauty of any religious endeavor is marred by people, marred by the level of people who are stuck in some sort of cultural inertia to the point where they won't even grow themselves. They'll spout different things, and we'll have newspapers and news, but Muhammad speaks and all that kind of stuff that I grew up around. We'll have Bibles, you understand? We'll have Qurans, and we'll even have the Urdu. Okay. But what I'm trying to get everyone to understand is that that's not the it of it. And our ways of perceiving that, as Baba Orisha Abemi just stated, and that is when it defies our inner spiritual intellect, if you will, then we are set by universal construct to investigate, to make relative, to bring about a wholeness from what many might consider a multiplicity. Again, I can accept what anybody does. You want to go out and kill animals and throw them out the window or whatever, that's on you. But I've been down all them roads, okay? And I've come to understand that the greatest of sacrifices is my own animalistic, is my own primal. It is my own, doubt of my divine capacity.
Yes, sir. Big facts.
So that's what we come to understand, and if we don't understand that, then again, from where I'm sitting in my own little lonely corner at the edge of the universe over there, it's just murder. It's just excitement. You know what I mean? We don't even bury the animals so that they become a part of the earth cycle. We don't feed the mother earth. We don't make commitments, imule. We don't make promises to the earth that we're going to change for the better. We're just going to wait for the next somebody don't like me to go run into the babalao and then, make another elbow. And I'm not making light of it, but we have to make light of it in order to see it. And there has to be places where people who think differently can come and actually learn and become the philosophical Orunmila and not the sacrificial Orunmila. There is a difference. And the two can counterbalance each other, at any given point, at any given time. But the whole thing is, what are you here for? I mean, really, what are you here for? Dependency or independency? Okay. Insight or lack of sight? I just want to have faith. I'm just going to do what I'm told. I'm going to be, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do it. Or am I going to think this thing out and say, yeah, I agree with you, this is the best thing? Or I'm going to take a little part of it, see how it tastes. If it agrees with me, I'll get more. But if it doesn't, then I won't. And nobody's going to judge me for it. And nobody's going to, like the Inquisition, tie me to a machine and stretch my body until my arms and my legs are pulled from my body, in the name of God. You see, there has to be thoughtfulness to liberation. There has to be empowerment from within. And that's just non-debatable, you know. I mean, you can argue it, but it's non-debatable. All right. So there's many things that we've gone over in terms of cultural inertia. We know that we're not sacrificing human beings like they did back in the day, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you need Odu confirmation or not. You know, it happened. We know that there was sacrifice of twins. We know that albinos were treated very, very badly and sometimes killed. But we also know that we don't do that anymore. We're not stuck there. Okay. We also know that we've become more monogamous. Okay. Because of time and changes and laws and benefits. So we're there. Okay. We're not stuck in the time of polygamy. Okay. So we are changing, whether we want to admit it or not. And if we need to have something like the Odu become something like the biblical, then we need to understand that the biblical has changed numerous times up till today.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like let's be philosophical about this.
Yeah.
Because we're living for the study of life, not for the study of somebody's religion. At the end of the day, if Ifa is not serving you, one person, well, I got so confused with Ifa, I went back to Christianity.
Oh, you
I'm like,
saw that?
yes, of course I saw it.
I'm glad you
I
brought that up because I
how
didn't mean to
hell,
cut you off, but I meant to actually address that comment and the
man,
response on today's show. I'm glad you brought that up, Bob. I sure forgot about it. Once we got into the flow and things started moving, man, I forgot all about it. I'm glad you brought it up. I want to address that when you finish, though. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I'm finished, man. Come on, man, come on with it, man.
Yeah, well, because I wanted you to, I wanted to bring that up. Matter of fact, I meant to say something to you about it when we were talking on the phone earlier, and I forgot. But you knew I had a lot going on there
Yeah,
too, man.
what's going on, man?
But I'm gonna tell you, man, I, I'm glad. I'm so glad that you brought it up, and I'm gonna share it with the tribe too. Matter of fact, I'm gonna try to pull
Yeah.
it up and see if I can find the comment. But
Okay. Well, you don't really want the person's name out there like
no,
that,
I'm not
but
gonna put them on
put
blast.
it
No,
out.
I mean on my behalf where I can see it, so I can
Oh,
read
okay.
verbatim
Okay.
what you know the conversation that transpired. But and I didn't take it as a negative thing though, because I feel
No.
like yeah, for me, I feel like it was I feel like it was a learning moment for me, and
Mhm.
hopefully a learning moment for them as well. And so I just found it. So the comment was it was pretty much they were speaking on the fact that I guess Ifa Isheshe didn't work out for them. So, you know, it said because their experience of, I guess, kind of like getting separated between their Baba or their, you know, Lowo or whoever their initiator or their trainer was, or teacher or guide, or whatever you want to call it, was the priestess. They got separated. So it was like the person, I guess, got frustrated and was just like, forget it. It was just too much because I guess they at that point had made it up to receiving their warriors. And so I guess, you know, they felt some type of way because, okay, well, what about the person who brought me in there? Now I don't know how to feed them. I don't know the prayer. You know, I could get where they were coming from. And that's
Mhm.
why initially I wasn't really sure on how I wanted to respond, but the way spirit works, spirit kind of pulled me to the side and like, nah, you need to go ahead and respond, but you need to make sure that you do it the right way. And
Yeah.
so and that's what I did. So with all that family, that's pretty much what the person's plight was. The comment was that they were in the tradition, and I guess whoever brought them in or whoever was like their initiator kind of pulled, I guess I don't somehow they got disconnected. So the channel listener was like, I guess they was like, man, damn, what I'm supposed to do now? I don't got nobody to, you know what I'm saying, teach me and help me with none of this. So they just got rid of their warriors and went back to the Bible. Is pretty much what their statement was. So for me, I told them, and I didn't even go in as far into depth with the written
Mhm.
response, but I go a little deeper into depth now with the actual verbal response. But you're not alone, family. Like you are not
Mhm.
alone. Like I can't tell you how many other people that I have spoken with on this path that has been through the exact same thing as you, including myself in some ways, shapes, forms, and fashions. So, including the Oba Oloye Baba Ifa Karade, who is sitting right across from me and right in front of y'all, has been through something extremely similar in the beginning of his journey. So, my response to, the viewer was that, most devotees that I cross paths with have been disconnected from their babas, iyas, their olowos, their ilays. But the most important part about life and spirituality is to learn to love and know thyself. So when we develop that ability and we get to really tap in and tune into that intuitive feeling of that knowingness, of knowing that there's something way bigger than me, something that's way more vast that I'm a part of, that is a part of me. And I'll dare to say the ocean and the raindrop. Same thing.
Okay.
It's only the difference is to a matter of degree, the vastness of the ocean, and to a matter of degree, the difference in the smaller scale of the raindrop. So now we're talking about the macrocosm, the microcosm. So I was sharing with the listener that that's what matters the most. Like when we develop the ability to know that we are divine and we're in divine alignment with God, the God within, we're all a creation of the universal prime creator, no matter what. It doesn't matter if you call God Olamare, Allah, Jesus, Ra, Buddha, Krishna, whoever, whatever you call God, that higher power, that higher source, if you are able to find that within yourself and believe in it enough to have enough faith and enough confidence and the ability to tap in and tune into that, that's what being a child of God is about. It don't matter what that name of that deity is. It doesn't matter any of that. It's about you being able to develop the confidence and the strength and the power and intuitiveness to know that this is much bigger than me, and I know this. And there's nothing that any person can tell me to change how I feel about what I know is going on inside of me. I know where I came from. I feel it. I know it. I sense it. I'm in tune with it on every level, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, whatever, whichever way you want to look at it. So when we're able to do that, that's when we can really tap into that interconnection of the universal prime creator. That's when we tap into that universal cosmic energy. And I spelt it intentionally, INNERGY, or that inner chi. And I'm sitting across from a Tai Chi master, Baba Care. They always on the Tai Chi. Whenever I talk to him, damn near he either rolling on the rowboat or doing Tai Chi. But my point that I was trying to make to this particular listener was that as long as you feel the presence of God, and you can work on strengthening that relationship within yourself and within the relationship between you and the creator, then it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter, what your faith is. It doesn't matter what your God is. None of that matters. The only thing that really matters is that you know that you're tapped into that connection to the universal prime creator. And as long as you're doing that, none of the rest matters. And so it was just like, because that's the thing that I feel like a lot of us, unfortunately, and it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Bubba, it's like, a lot of us don't have the ability to kind of think for self, or to kind of remove ourselves from the rest of the sheep or from the rest of the herd. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a lot easier to be a part of the flock. It's a lot easier to be a part of the herd versus to be the shepherd leading the herd. You know what I mean? So it's like, we got to get out of that, because if you're watching this channel, I'm pretty sure you're one of the shepherds and not necessarily one of the sheep or the flock, because this is what we're about. This is everything that the universal crime creator, I feel like, sent me here for, sent you here, Baba, and everybody who's listening. That's what we're here for. We're here now. We are the leaders. We are the Morpheuses. We are the Neos. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are here now, the ones. And this is what we're here for. And I've had conversations with people before that, time is hard, life is hard, bills piling up, health, all kinds of different. We all dealing with struggles, feeling. But the thing about it is, we all agreed to come here. We all signed up for it, every single one of us. And if we didn't, we wouldn't be here. So now it's just about figuring out what can we do to maximize the time and the impact, and what we're going to do with the time and the opportunities that we have allotted to us from the universal prime creator. And then once we can get that part, we Gucci. We here now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I say, yes, sir. But yeah, man. So, Baba, what you got for the tribe, man? Before we wrap it up.
Just the blessings of all that is and all that we will become. Okay. And the study is intense. you know, because it's not study like school study. You know what I mean? It's the experience of learning. And this is where my forte is, you know. This is a result of my career development, but more than my career development, because I just didn't become a teacher, you know, as much as I became someone who is willing to be taught. There's a difference. Okay. When I walk amongst my people, be they students in the rough areas, or as a social worker, being you know, in the homes of people living in, you know, in the projects, in the hood, you know, I walk in there like, I want to learn from you, you know. I want to understand, you know. And in order to do that, I have to be separated from, you know, oh, they're the unworthy ones, they're the, you know, they're the problematic ones, they don't have this and they don't have that, so when you go deal with them, you deal with them like, you know, you're, you know, better than them. I'm like, I'm not better than them. The same spirit of goodness and the same spirit of love is in all of us. We just have been conditioned to feel as though it's not. So I get what's done because I'm letting it be done, not because I'm making it be done. We can become stronger because we are stronger. I'm not making you stronger. Your strength is already there. Your intellectual ability is already there. The capacity for you to grow beyond the cultural inertia that has been drawn around you. You didn't draw it yourself. Someone got you believing that this is the way it should be and this is the way you should be. Okay. And they've gone through great lengths to do it, which only means we have to go through greater lengths to undo it. So the study aspect is not collegiate, so to speak. It is experiential. It is transformational. Every line has to have meaning. Every line that you read, every line that you will be asked to write. Okay. Again, this is not the, you know, the passive recipient where you're just going to sit there and somebody's going to pour this knowledge of the Odu and pour African and pour these powers into you. This is not it. And it never was it. It never was it. We got to step out of the caricature and into the character of self. Okay. And I'm going to close with that, because as the presiding professor, if you will, you know, for the courses, I need for everyone to be absolutely sure, as much as they possibly can be, of what they are getting ready to experience, not just quote unquote learn. Okay? Experience so that you can be transformed. Right? Study up for the self of sake and the sake of self.
All
All right,
righty.
brother.
Ashe. Oh, yeah. So that's powerful, and it's funny because I had my notes here. There was a couple of little messages I wanted to share in regards to not just today's show, but some of the videos and the lives and some of the stuff that I'm working on and for in the future with the tribe. But everything you just said, I agree with, Baba. Like straight up, real talk, and I feel like it's true. And it's like we don't need permission, you know, to own our greatness. We don't need permission to tap into our godness, our godhood, our, you know, our being a child of the Creator, our co-creation abilities with the Creator. We don't need permission to do that. You know what I mean? Like that's what we're here for. We here now. We're here to figure it out. We're here to make it happen. And we're here to make it do what it do. But it was another powerful show, another dope episode, live stream. Shout out to the tribe. We still got a lot of people still here sharing, showing love. I am because we are I am. I appreciate that. At Naela, that's real. Ifa appreciate you. Family, all y'all. But real quick before we get out of here, Baba, because I don't want to like deal with what you just did. I'm gonna respect that and leave that as the mic drop. But I did want to share this one little thing because I think I'm gonna definitely do I don't know if I'm gonna do the live tomorrow or the private community. But either way, I think I'm gonna do another live either tomorrow or Sunday, family, and I'll put it on the channel because I still gotta do the private call too. But we're gonna make both of them happen. But with that, I wanted to share something that matter of fact, shout out to Professor Copper because this came out of his book Spirituality Before Religion. But he was giving a reference and ancestral libations to his teachers, and so I want to do that for my teachers, which is you, Baba Karaday, and Professor Kaba, and all the rest of the teachers. But he gave a shout out to Dr. Hilliard about the 10 virtues from the ancient Kemetic philosophy. And the 10 virtues are the ability to control thought, number 1, control action, number 2, control devotion of purpose, number 3, control the faith in the master teacher's ability to teach the truth, number 4, number 5, faith in one's ability to recognize the truth. Number 6, faith in ourselves to wield the power of truth. Number 7, freedom from resentment under persecution. Number 8, freedom from resentment under being wronged. Number 9, the ability to distinguish right from wrong. Number 10, the ability to distinguish real from unreal. So with that, family, it's been real tonight, and I know for damn sure the tribe is real, the nation is real, and Baba is real. And every time we come on here, we keeping it real, and we doing what real folks do, and that's each one teach one, united we stand, divided we fall. So with that, family, I appreciate y'all. Appreciate the love and support. We have the Institute to be launching officially on Thursday, I believe, February 6th, 2025. We also have the Professor Smalls Africa Throughout the Ages coming up in Jacksonville on February 16th. That's coming up. The link is in the bio for that, as well as the link will be up this weekend for the Institute for y'all to sign up as well. And then also the study group, the revamp of the study group is coming up, and I'll be sharing the links for that when I get that finalized and finished too. But definitely appreciate y'all, family. Appreciate the love and support. Appreciate y'all always being here holding it down with us. Shout out to Shakita and Kosi, Mr. Rodriguez, Bro Consu, everybody who always coming through and showing love for all the lives. Shout out to all of y'all. Appreciate all of y'all. And yeah, that's what it is. So we'll see y'all on the next one. And then, Baba, hopefully we can get another one in. If not, this weekend, maybe Monday, Tuesday, depending on your schedule, so we can make it happen again, make it do what it do.
Sounds good, brother. Sounds good.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, Baba. So with that, family, thank y'all for tuning in with us. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but decided to be here with us in these Ashe streets, and we give thanks. We appreciate all of y'all. And I'll see y'all again sometime in the very near future. Tomorrow, Sunday, we'll have another live, and then another private community call will be coming up this weekend too, family. Appreciate y'all for sure. Bach Chevy, appreciate you, family. Naela, I hope I'm saying that right. Appreciate you. We appreciate all y'all. Baba Oloye, Baba Ifa Karade, appreciate you, Baba. Modupwe. And we'll see y'all on the next one, family. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We out. Peace. Odabo.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé ṣàpò ìyàgbọ́ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé egun mo ṣe ní gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors and pray.